episode of Hello, I'm Listening.
You almost said translating love, didn't you?
I did not.
I feel like we now have more episodes of... See, now I hear myself better.
Yeah, good.
I feel like we have more episodes of Hello, I'm Listening than we did of Translating Love. Can that be?
I don't think so, actually.
Okay. I was going to say you have no excuse then.
No, I think we're still pretty... because we changed that, I think 80 or something. Mm-hmm. Now we're at 130 something.
Okay, so almost.
So almost, but not quite. Not quite there. Wait, I'll look quick. So the last one was 137.
Okay.
And the last episode of Translating Love was 87. So around 170. We're there. So there's a little way still. But yeah. Okay. I just wanted to say that to everybody who is new to the podcast, to the program. We appreciate you listening, giving us your time, and also if you like what you hear, we always love if you could just subscribe.
We do.
One click of a button or with your fingertip.
We appreciate it.
And if you want to rate or review the podcast, especially on Apple Podcast, which helps a lot in general with getting suggested to other people who might want to hear similar things. And obviously, if you want to head over to our Patreon, where Joe is currently still alone.
Hey, Joe.
And you can support us there with just a little bit. And you will get something out of that. But yeah, so we recorded a fun episode on Friday, which will be out in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Or not the time you're listening to this, but the next episode, basically. But I don't want to spoil anything. But it was a weird but fun episode. Mm-hmm. So I'm very excited to see how people respond to that one.
Yep.
But today we are back to our usual things.
Regularly scheduled program.
Regular. And we thought because we talked about horror movies, which were not quite well received because, not everybody likes horror movies.
How dare you?
And we talked about coming of age. We talked about rom-coms. Did something else? Was there something else? I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
How coming of age? Oh, summer. I think summer movies.
Yeah, like our favorite summer,
and compared to our summer memories, like some fun, something like that. Something along those lines. But yeah, and today we thought we'd talk about comedies, especially comedies that are not made anymore, like comedies that are not only considered classics, but could maybe also not be made anymore these days because of changing.
Although I feel like some movies, like I am focusing mostly on movies from like the 2000s, like the early 2000s.
Oh, I'm going to the 80s, 90s. Okay.
But like comedies that I grew up with that, they just don't make movies like that anymore. Not necessarily because they can't. There are some that they probably could not make anymore. But I don't know. I feel like they don't make comedies the same anymore. And it's kind of sad because there are some really great comedies.
A big reason for that is that a lot of those writers moved on to very good series and more dramatic stuff. I'm thinking of Todd Phillips, for example, who wrote the Hangover movies, who was old school, was involved in old school. And he then moved from the Hangover movies to Joker. He does the Joker movies now. And also, I think, produced some shows on HBO, mainly Chernobyl and... that was Craig Mazin. I'm sorry, that was the writer. But nevertheless, some of those moved on to more, higher forms of entertainment. And another reason...
I wouldn't say higher forms of entertainment.
Yeah, well, more like mature, let's say mature.
Yeah,
and another reason for those comedies are not being made like that anymore is that the cinema landscape changed a little bit. Like the classic comedy is not something that you see in the cinema almost never anymore, because it's
what
not.
about the movie we saw?
Let's not talk about that.
Griechenland.
But the streaming services took over for comedies, and since there's so much shit produced for the streaming, not to say that the people who work on those movies are, stupid or not good. I'm just saying it's just a lot of content, and some of it is not great. It's just there to be there to fill a void. And so a lot of those comedies who would be great or would be considered in that space are not in the cinema anymore and don't get that attention anymore. Because I think that, especially on Netflix and Hulu as well, a lot of really great comedies got released. For example, Palm Springs, if you remember, with Andy Samberg, is a great comedy that was, I think, 2019. Yeah. But yeah, let's dive into it.
Yes.
Do you have a movie in mind?
The first one that comes to mind for me is Dodgeball.
Of course. Because it's relevant right now because they just announced that there might be a sequel.
How fucking cool would that be?
And it's a great fucking movie.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's, first of all, an incredible cast. And it's simple, but it's so fun. It's just a group of people who they're trying to save their small gym because they have this like mom and pop gym basically, and there's a big conglomerate gym that's taking away all their customers, or they can't afford. They want to buy out their gym and like make it as an extension of theirs. And so in order to save their space, they sign up for this dodgeball tournament,
right.
Where the prize money is exactly what they need to save their gym.
Yeah. I mean, that comedy, the fun thing is that the director, Ross and Marshall Thurber, did, for example, We're the Millers in 2013, which is a great comedy. Red Notice with Dwayne Johnson and Gal Gadot and Ryan Reynolds in 2021, which was okay, but which was more like a comedy spy thriller.
Yeah.
And he did Skyscraper with Dwayne Johnson and Central Intelligence with Dwayne Johnson. So, yeah.
Okay, so it kind of went downhill a little bit.
Yeah. So, but he continued to make comedies, and there's also like We Are the Millers 2. There's like talks about it. Maybe it will come at some point.
Okay.
But he continued to do comedies, so he didn't move away. But I think Dodgeball and especially We Are the Millers, those two movies stand out. And the main reason, I think, is the cast.
Yeah,
not necessarily
the cast. It's not the story, but the cast and the writing is just so good. It's so funny, and it's like that silly funny. Where it's like it's so stupid, but it's so funny.
Yeah,
like it's just.
And they also have heart. Those comedies have heart.
Yeah, there's always like a nice little, I don't know, like feel good aspect to those movies.
Yeah. But Dodgeball is, I think there are some aspects of it that stand out. For example, a cameo. Yeah. I don't want to give too much away. If you haven't seen the movie, you should watch it. Of what's his name? Why am blanking? Come on, say the name.
No.
Yeah, I'm blanking right now.
Yeah, I am too.
Oh man. Jason Bateman. Jason Bateman's cameo is like one of the funniest shit ever, and
so I wouldn't really call his character a cameo.
It's a cameo. It's a cameo.
He's in multiple scenes in the movie.
Yeah, but only very small and short, and he has like, I don't know, 6 lines, but they're so quotable and so fucking funny, and he delivers. And it's funny because a lot of people who reference that movie talk about his character because he's so fucking funny.
He's so funny.
And obviously Ben Stiller as the antagonist, as the evil gym owner.
Vince Vaughn as like he owns
the dog,
the other gym.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
It's a good movie.
So funny.
Yeah, no, it's a good movie. I'm talking more about a classic, which it would be Airplane.
Great movie.
Yeah, from 1981, I want to say. Is it 1981? And yeah, it's, I think, one of the funniest, most random maybe movies out there. 1980, yeah. Jim Abrahams, David Zucker, Jerry Zucker.
Anything with Leslie Nielsen is random. Like it's.
Even though he is
the comedy
a very
is so smart.
Character.
Yeah, but the comedy is so smart, but so random. It's weird.
Very random. It's very in your face. I mean, it's David Zucker, Jerry Zucker, Jim Abrahams, who did the Scary Movie films and a bunch of other spoof movies. And if you like that humor, then Airplane is for you. And obviously, I think there are not a lot of people who haven't seen the movie. In German, it's called eine verrückte Reise in einem verrückten Flugzeug. So like a crazy trip in a crazy airplane. Yeah. But yeah, it's such a fun movie, and I think a movie like that could not be made these days because the humor is so specific and
dry
and very dry and very in your face. Like it's so in your face.
Yeah.
And but it works so well, and I think
the autopilot.
Right, and I think the I don't know, the delivery of all those actors, and especially Les Nielsen's character. I mean, he's the shit. He's
the king of comedy.
He's the shit. He's so fucking funny. And I'm very interested, but also a little concerned about the Naked Gun reboot with Liam Neeson.
I'm not into it, I have to say.
The thing is, it's the Lonely Island guys, so I'm very optimistic.
I mean, yeah, that aspect, sure, I think that has potential, but I still think that the reason that they wanted Liam Neeson, I'm convinced.
Oh, because of the name, yeah.
Because of the name. Leslie Nielsen, Liam Neeson. It's just like, it works for their style of comedy,
but
too.
Also, weirdly, Leslie Nielsen... Oh, no, sorry. Liam Neeson. That's so hard. Liam Neeson had a very serious career with a lot of very serious movies. And then he had like this second, what is it called? Second spurt or second boost of his career with the action movies, the action franchises he built. And he became this action hero, mainly starring with Taken. And then... Now he's like a little like between serious and action again. Mm-hmm. But he said that if that movie, mainly the Naked Gun reboot, could potentially give him a third round basically of his career. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm excited for it. But I think, I don't know if a movie like that would work today. I mean, I would love to see a movie like that again. Mm-hmm. Because it's been very long that a movie like that came out and was good. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see.
My next one is from 2005, The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, fucking yes.
With Steve Carell and Paul Rudd and...
That's a great movie.
Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill, who has a small role. It's just... Again, they just don't make comedy like that. I don't even know how to describe that style of comedy, but they don't make it anymore. I mean,
Jude Apatow matured a little bit too.
Yeah.
And I think his style is still the same.
I agree.
But he's not as fecal humor and balls and penis humor anymore. Like, not a little bit, but not really. Because if you look at This Is 40, for example, or The King of Staten Island, we talked about it.
Yeah, great movie.
In the last episode, did we talk about it?
I think the last one.
Yeah, mental health, yeah. There's still elements of his humor in there, but they're a little mature.
Yeah.
But I agree. 30-Year-Old Virgin is a classic. 40, with Steve Carell.
I mean, essentially, the plot, if you haven't seen it, you go watch it. But the plot is that Steve Carell plays a 40-year-old man who is a virgin.
Yeah,
and he works in like a tech store, like a Best Buy type store. And he's just this sweet, like insanely sweet character. He plays it so well, super naive and innocent. And he's got these guys around him working who are just absolute pigs. Like, they're absolute pigs.
Yes.
And the things that they say, again, this is one of those movies that they couldn't make today. Yeah. Because at least with the dialogue that they have. Yeah. Because it's so crass and it just wouldn't work. Yeah. But unfortunately, I still think it's funny. But
it's a very funny movie. Yeah, but the thing is,
and it's just like they're trying to get him laid. Essentially, is
I think it would still work. But the problem is, I think that the cast alone is so specific and so fucking good. You could never these days form a cast like that for that amount of money.
Yeah.
Because if you would get a cast like that, you would pay so much, and no studio would pay so much for a movie like that anymore. So, yeah. My next movie is The Jerk. It's a classic Steve Martin comedy from Carl Reiner from 1979. And I mean, Carl Reiner and Steve Martin, very specific humor, very weird, but insanely hilarious and a little racy. A little. But it's a fun movie about this man who basically got raised by a black family and then sets out into the world when he's grown up to, I don't know, what does he do?
What is the opening of the movie? Like, I was born a small black child.
Yeah, right. And he just sets out to find, I think, his own life or something. Yeah. To become like successful, to help his family or something like that. Yeah, it's a fucking great movie. It's very, funny. There are some insanely hilarious moments in it. And I mean, if you like Steve Martin, then if you have not seen it, watch it, definitely. Yes. Yeah.
My next one is also very racy. And
Ooh, is it? That's it.
Borat.
Borat. Oh yeah, Borat.
It's just classic. So the thing about Borat that's spectacular and wonderful is that Sacha Baron Cohen plays this character named Borat. And
I think everybody knows Borat at this point.
Maybe I think they have to. But if you don't, he plays a character named Borat. He's from Kazakhstan.
Yeah. And
when he was filming it, he was actually in character. Most of it's unscripted.
Yeah.
So most of it is just him there. Him and his like little sidekick guy. They have script together. They know the whole thing together. But nobody else, everybody that is in the movie, essentially, almost everybody, has no idea that he's an actor filming a movie for it's not known to them. And so he's just having these interactions with these people, and he has a show about it. Sacha Baron Cohen made a show with essentially the same This is America.
I mean, so he
plays characters. He plays bits, and he just tries to get real people to be themselves, essentially. And it's scary at times because you're like, holy fuck, these people are fucking nuts.
But I think that, Borat 2 came out not recently. So those movies
not that long ago.
So so those movies,
he still does stuff like that, which I love.
He has a harder time doing that because everybody knows him, or most people know him now.
Everybody knows him now, so he has to really, really disguise himself to make it work. And the reason that This Is America worked is because he was focusing mainly on the southern states and Republicans and like far right Republicans, and those people don't know who he is. Like 1,000%, they've not seen Borat or any of that. But the plot of the movie is so stupid. He
himself very well.
I mean, the plot is that he basically falls in love with Pamela Anderson because of Baywatch and travels to California to like make her his bride.
Yep.
And it's so stupid.
I mean, it's a very fun,
and it's just his travels along the way, like taking lessons on etiquette or something, and like how to be a good house guest, and staying with two old Jewish people. And
he does a deep dive into the culture of America of 2005. Yeah,
it's hilarious.
It's a very fun
absolutely
movie.
Hysterical.
I would suggest Team America World Police.
Yes.
Season 4 from Trey Parker and Matt Stone, who created knowingly South Park. And that movie is just outrageously stupid because they thought it would be funny to make a movie with hand puppets.
Like marionette puppets.
Marionettes,
like they're literally on strings.
So the whole movie is not CG, it's basically puppets in front of a backdrop.
They built a set. They built like this whole set for these puppets, and they blew shit up, and they, it's like to scale for the puppets, obviously. And it's insane. I mean, they said they would never, ever do something like that again.
They said that they worked 20 hours every day for a year. And it was the worst time of their life. And The thing is, that movie's so fucking funny.
It's so
if you
funny.
like their humor, if you like South Park's humor, then it's definitely for you. If you don't like South Park, then don't watch it, because you will be offended in every fucking scene. But
you also get to watch puppets having sex, and that's
or
interesting.
Puke, or just puke vomit, and like, yeah.
And the sex scene is like super graphic.
As graphic as it can be, since it's puppets fucking, yeah.
Oh, it's so good. The movie is so good.
It's a movie like that, first of all, with real puppets could never be made these days. I mean, nobody would be stupid enough to do that. You would do it in animation with 3D.
Yeah.
And secondly, I mean, the jokes and everything, North Korea and everything, I don't know if a director duo, or if a director or a writer would be so bold to write something like that.
Yeah. But to this day, that movie is one of those movies where I could watch it probably once a week and not get sick of it. Like, it's just it's the same with Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
It's just one of those movies where you watch it 5 million times and it never stops being funny.
No, I agree.
My next one, let's see if you can guess it just by my description. It's from 2007.
Mm-hmm.
It is both a absolutely hysterical comedy, but also a coming of age.
I mean, I think, and I don't know.
Superbad.
Oh, Superbad, yeah. I mean, that movie is phenomenal for 2 reasons, I think. First of all,
the cast.
I mean, Seth Rogen wrote that movie when he was 16, and he based it on his life back in school. And so the main character, played by Jonah Hill, is him, basically. Mm-hmm. And second, the cast, yeah.
It's brilliantly cast.
It's just everything. Bill Hader and Seth Rogen as the cop duo. Fogel.
So good. Fogel.
Or everybody knows him under his synonym name, or what is his?
McLovin.
McLovin, yeah. He has no first or second name. It's just McLovin. And fuck me, that movie.
And Michael Cera, who's always wonderful in everything he does.
Yeah.
It's like this perfect combination of. It's a perfect combination of exactly what high school relationships are like, but like boys like that, where it's like, I mean, I think any relationship in high school, but like friendship, where there's the guy who's kind of like the outcast a little bit, but really thinks that he's cool or wants to be cool. That's like the Jonah Hill character. Yeah. Then there's the Michael Cera of the group, who's super nerdy and dorky, but so lovable and sweet and just like innocent.
He's just very innocent.
Always goes after the popular girl, and he's just like so sweet. And then there's the Fogels of the world.
When he grazes her boob in the hallway of the school, oh man, that scene is so fucking funny.
And then there's the Fogels of the world, who are just absolute nerdy, lovable, like Dungeons and Dragons gamers. They're just, and also just so adorable and sweet.
And super nerdy.
Yeah, super nerdy.
Yeah.
But just the combination, their friendship together is so well done, and their chemistry is so great.
Yeah.
And again, the plot of the movie is not that extravagant. It's literally they're trying to get alcohol to go to this party so they can be like the guys who save the day for the girl. There's the girl, they need alcohol, and they're like, oh, we can get alcohol. And that's the whole plot. That's
essentially, that's it, yeah. Very simple, but...
The last party before they go off to college, basically.
It's really funny. And there are some very sweet moments in it where it's also about growing up and, high school was fun, but once we're at college, we might have to have a different relationship. Mm-hmm. I want to go with Dumb and Dumber now.
Yes.
The thing is, I could talk about comedies for a long time, but I have 2 more movies, so the Dumb and Dumber is one of them. It's from 1994. I mean, Peter Farrelly and Bobby Farrelly, so the Farrelly brothers, when they made comedies, they're coming back with a comedy now, and I'm very excited about that one. But yeah, Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels play those very lovable dumb friends who are like the worst people ever, like the dumbest people you can think of, and they basically get hand off like a luggage piece of this lady who they think is called Samsonite, Mary Samsonite, because Samsonite is sticked on the luggage on the.
It's the luggage brand that she has.
Yeah, and so they set off to a road trip to Mary Samsonite, and she's in Aspen, where the beer flows like wine. And obviously, the first thing they do, they drive into the wrong direction. The movie's so fucking funny. It's a road movie essentially, but it's also a very sweet movie about two people who love each other, who are friends.
Yeah.
But
very dumb people.
Who are just super innocent because they're so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time think they're super smart and know everything. And I think it's a classic. I think a movie like that could totally work these days.
I mean, they made a second one.
And I really like the second one.
Yeah.
I mean, it was essentially the same formula, so they didn't change much. But the main problem with a movie like that is you would need to have a character like Jim Carrey or an actor who does physical comedy as well. And then a more serious actor on his side who is so fucking good in his craft that he plays this dumb person so fucking well, which is Jeff Daniels. If you see him in that movie, you would never suggest that he is a very smart and serious actor. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
That's a brilliant movie.
Yeah.
My next one is Coming to America. Eddie Murphy.
Ooh,
That's
Eddie Murphy.
1988. And it's basically a
That
prince, an African prince is supposed to have an arranged marriage, and he wants to break tradition. So he sets off for America to find a bride there instead, or to kind of like live the American life and, you know, get a job and, you know, just live as kind of like a normal person. And it is just, it's a fun fact, the first movie where I'm pretty sure the first where Samuel L. Jackson uses motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what started his motherfucker, I don't know, slogan. You can, I guess, call it his slogan, but that was his first appearance with that, where it really, at least where it really made it memorable.
They came out with a second part in 2021.
They did, and it's also great.
Which was also great and very sweet, and I think honored the first movie very well.
Totally.
I think they did a good job. Yeah.
But it's just it's kind of a feel good. It's funny. I mean, it's classic. If you love anything Eddie Murphy does, is I think gold. Yeah. He's so good at what he does. But yeah, it's just great. It's a really sweet story with extreme amounts of comedy where you're laughing the whole time.
I mean, it's Eddie Murphy, and Arsenio Hall is so fucking great.
He's so great.
It's a great movie. Especially there are some aspects of the movie. They put some of the bits from SNL into the movie, and it's just a hysterical 80s movie. I have actually two more. Okay. Yeah, if you don't name one of those. So my second to last is Tropic Thunder.
Nice.
Because a movie like that could not be made these days, simply. And you may know that there's controversy surrounding that movie these days because of Robert Downey Jr.'s character who had blackface on the whole movie. Yep. And essentially what happens in the movie is always those three actors, mainly Ben Stiller, Robert Downey Jr., and Jack Black, are set to shoot a movie in Vietnam. Mm-hmm. And Robert Downey Jr.'s character is a method actor and a very over-the-top guy. And he obviously gets a skin, what is it called? A pigmentation operation where he turns himself black. It's not just paint. He actually, in the movie, in the story, turned himself into a black guy. And it's a fucking hysterical movie.
It is.
Ben Stiller directed it, and I think it's one of the best comedies from the mid-2000s. And that movie could not be made simply because people don't understand comedy for what it is. Mm-hmm. And again, that movie doesn't make a big fuss out of the whole thing. Sure, there are some scenes where actually black actors talk, they address him. Mm-hmm. But it's, I don't know. The thing is, I think what I'm trying to say is that sometimes a comedy movie can just be a comedy without thinking too much about it. Like if you think about Dumb and Dumber, and there might be some really dumb people offended because you know they're talking about them because you know dumb people are stupid. But then at the same time, they won't be because they don't understand because they're too dumb to understand that they're made fun of.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was talking about this with a friend the other day where they're just so offended by comedy, and especially like the further we get in time, the more offended people get. So it's like,
sure.
And it's so,
especially stand-up.
It's so, exactly. That's what we were talking about. There's this thing around stand-up where people get so pissy and people are heckling comedians and like, this is their job.
Yeah.
If you're offended, they're probably doing their job right, because that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to make you laugh, but also push the boundaries a little bit. And it's a joke. You know, and I agree there are some things that you maybe don't joke about, but if you're going to see a stand-up comic, you can't really get pissy about what they joke about.
And I think it's with comedies itself. Movies are not written to sometimes movies are written to purposefully trigger you a little bit, to purposefully make you laugh about the wrong things that you wouldn't normally laugh, and that's okay because you're in a safe space. It's a movie. It's not the real life. And we all have those situations where we sit at a table with our best friends and we make jokes that we usually not normally would make, or we laugh about a joke that someone makes that we usually not normally laugh. And I think it's fine in those settings without getting too not sensitive. I don't like to use the word, but overly aggregated or thrown off because someone laughed about something that is not funny.
And a good comedian, I think there are probably comedians out there who are very sexist and very, where that's their main focus or, whatever it might be. And sure, I agree with that. Then, okay, if they're always just like that and they're just focusing on this one group and, different story. But a good comedian will take a jab at everybody, like everybody and everything, and nothing's off limits. And I feel like there's no problem with that.
I totally agree. And if you do it in a respectful manner where okay, this comedian is not just making fun of me or my group of people, but everybody, and you can clearly see it's fun, then just laugh about it, or don't be offended. If you don't get the joke or if you don't like to laugh about it, then that's fine too.
But that movie is great.
Yeah.
Technically I have two more too, but we'll see if you say the one of them. My next one is Shaun of the Dead.
Okay. Yeah, I would have said that too, but I thought I'll end it with another one. But Shaun of the Dead is a great movie. 2003, Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost. Oh, it's a great fucking comedy.
Brilliant writing. Brilliant acting.
It says on the DVD cover or Blu-ray cover, it's a rom-com with zombies.
It's a great movie. Not only for the soundtrack alone. I mean, the soundtrack is so well placed. Like every song is well placed in that movie.
Right.
But it's just the story is especially at the time was so unique. It was such a unique story, and to make a comedy about zombies, where and I don't know, there is the love story aspect of it, there's the friendship aspect of it, and they have, I mean, Nick Frost and Simon Pegg are good friends anyways, but you can see it in that, like, they have the absolute best chemistry, and it's just laugh after laugh after laugh. But also, when I first saw it, it was a little scary. Like, it actually did a good job. There's some
horror elements in it. Yeah.
They did a really good job of not just making it comedy, but actually making the zombie thing kind of creepy.
Yeah. No, definitely. I saw it the first time, I think, 2004 when I was 14. Mm-hmm. And I was a little scared too. But it's a great comedy, and it's the first of the Cornetto trilogy. Second being Hot Fuzz, and the third one, The World's End.
Both great.
Yeah, it's a great trilogy. It's a great comedy trilogy.
Yeah.
And I think those Shaun of the Dead especially was very well received because I think it was the same year or a year or 2 years before that Dawn of the Dead, the remake, came out, which Zack Snyder, I think, directed, and James Gunn wrote.
I didn't know that.
And so the zombie phenomenon came back a little bit.
Yeah.
And so this British guy who basically nobody knew before, except some British people from Spaced, they wrote this zombie comedy movie, and it just took its turn, and it was a massive breakout, and massively successful, and they went to write more movies and did more movies. Yeah. So,
Do you have a specific one that you want to end it on?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll just say my last one.
okay.
Mine's a franchise, and it's the American Pie franchise.
Oh yeah.
That's again that's the perfect example of comedies that they don't make anymore. Like those kind of like college, they were so popular, like college age kids. Road trip,
Euro trip,
exactly, things like that. They were so popular, like so popular.
Yeah.
And I always loved them. I always loved it. It was, I don't know, it didn't really feel relatable, but somehow it did, you know, like
it did though somehow, because especially when the first one came out in 1999, I think the first one came out. So it's really long. We were almost there. We were a little too
I was
young.
8.
No, I know, but you got there, and you at least knew some people from high school, and you thought, oh, this is
I didn't watch them until I was...
okay.
The first... Actually, the crazy thing is, I think I watched the first American Pie at some point in high school, maybe, but I didn't actually see all of them until I was with you in 2016, or maybe 2017. We watched all of them before I went back to the U.S., or at some point when I visited, there was some stretch. But I'd never actually seen all of them. But I just love movies like that. They feel so nostalgic. The music in them is so nostalgic because it's always that like pop, emo, punk music. It's just
Offspring
so
and
good.
Blink 182 and all that shit. Yeah.
And again,
great
just
franchise.
sex joke after sex joke after sex joke.
Apparently, I think that they did a good job with all 4 of them, especially the fourth one where they meet again and they have kids and everything's different. They're grown up, and apparently the actors want to do another one, the original actors, and I really would like to see where they are at this point, because the kids could be, you know, teenagers or have their own like escapades, like
their own kind of like side story to the whole.
I could totally see that being a main thing. Oh, that could be really fun.
Yeah.
So I'm ending it on Anchorman.
Yes, I was hoping you would.
It's also a movie that is, I think, like in the zeitgeist of great comedies.
Absolutely.
Adam McKay moved on to do like very cool series films or dramedies, and is a great director. And he did the comedy of Anchorman in 2004. And I mean, Will Ferrell, Christina Applegate, Paul Rudd. The list goes on.
Steve Carell.
It's a great fucking movie, and it's basically just about a movie about this anchor who has his breakout because
it was in the 1970s.
Yeah,
that
it's
took
set
place?
in the 70s. Yeah, it's in the 70s, and he basically incorporates the male hierarchy, and he is this well-known guy who everybody looks up to and loves, and then this woman comes into the place, and she disrupts everything, and all of a sudden she's the side anchor, and then he gets tricked into saying something very awful on live television, and then he gets fired, and he lands he basically falls from his throne and lands on the streets drinking milk in the hot sun of San Diego.
With Baxter.
And there's some great cameos in there. It's a phenomenal funny movie.
I mean,
it's
Vince Vaughn alone.
So well. Yeah, Vince Vaughn.
So good.
Wes Mantooth. And it's a great fucking movie, and
there's like all the classic elements like of a good comedy, and just the characters in general. Like, you know, Ron.
I mean, Steve Carell.
Ron Will Ferrell being Ron. He's like the male character, you know, he's like the strong male lead, I guess. But then, you know, Paul Rudd is he's the sports guy. No, he's not the sports guy. He's the
common things. He just goes out to do some
on location
stuff. Yeah, but he's like the sexy mustache. I mean, Ron has a mustache too, but he's like the sexy guy.
Yeah. And Steve Carell is the weatherman and is dumb as a brick, and his name is Brick.
Brick, yeah. What are his hobbies?
I like to eat ice cream, and there was another one. While he's like putting mayo in the toaster.
I mean, that movie is... there's a cool story surrounding the writing and the scripts. but I don't want to go in it. But it's also, a lot of it is very improvised. They're just improvisation masters. And the fun thing is that on the Blu-ray, I think on the DVD too, but on the Blu-ray, there's a second movie. It's basically essentially the same movie, but slightly different, and with all the scenes that weren't used. And so it's so fucking funny. They shot so much material.
Yeah. And
you can basically spend 4 hours with just one Blu-ray and just have the best time.
Yeah. That's another one on that list of movies I could just constantly watch, and it never gets old. Like, no matter how many times
even the second one
was
not as great, but was still funny.
Still funny, but it doesn't land in that space for me where it's like, I really want to watch the second one. But Anchorman is just like, anytime someone says, let's watch Anchorman, I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah. It's a great movie. And so, like, you can quote almost every scene. Yeah. It's so fucking great.
Where did you get those clothes? At the
toilet store? Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Even the guy who can't think says something.
That's it, everybody. If you like what you hear, consider subscribing, share the podcast, head over to our Patreon. It's linked in the description below, and say hi to Joe, and maybe, help us out with a little bit of money if you can spare. And other than that, we hear each other next week.
Watch out for deer.